mother got me ready from birth to marry a 45-year-old man who had already culled 2 young wives. When they tried to force the wedding, I set their plans on fire, literally. In my family, daughters were handed over to older men the second they showed signs of becoming women. It didn't matter if you were barely a teenager. The moment your body changed meant you were ready for a husband who could be your grandfather. I grew up thinking this was just how things worked, until I turned 11, because that's when I saw my cousin Rachel get matched with a 45-year-old businessman, just days after her body started changing. His first 2 wives had passed away before their 20th birthdays. That was the first night I chose to eat less on purpose. Not because I thought I was heavy, and not because I didn't like food, but because I noticed the most malnutritioned girls in our community would be the last ones to start developing. And I knew it was my only way out. The other girls called me stick figure, but I didn't mind. Other girls my age were already matched with men who had kids older than us. That didn't mean they stopped training me to be a wife, though. Every Saturday from midnight to 9 in the morning, I had to bring food to the men in our family for hours without making a sound. And of course, if I looked them in the eye or made any noise while serving, then I would get hit with a leather strap 10 times. They made me carry hot pans without gloves to make my hands strong for cooking work. And every night my mother rubbed bleaching lotion all over my face so I could be pretty. And besides the secret hunger, I was the perfect daughter. I acted the part without any pushback, and always talked about how happy I was to have babies someday. But when I was 14 and my body still hadn't changed, I found something that turned my world upside down. For background, we were living in America the whole time, lol. My mother had just made us believe that all of this was normal, and that any girl who didn't follow these rules was going to end up alone, plus being worth nothing and ugly, until one teacher made me stay after class, because I had worn a loose shirt to school by mistake, and she noticed how thin I was. When she stepped out to use the restroom, she had left her desk drawer open. Inside were books about marriage rules, papers with titles like Your Rights as a Minor, and When Tradition Becomes Illegal. As I read, my mouth fell open. It was the first time I had learned that getting married before 18 was against the law. No tradition excuses, no parent permission allowed. I took the smallest paper, tucking it in my pants. Over the next few weeks, when my family thought I was sleeping, I read over every word. Phone numbers for child services, secure house locations, the exact words that would make someone report. I found out that teachers, counselors, and nurses had to tell the right people by law. So I started a homemaking club in my uncle's garage. 6 younger cousins who hadn't started changing yet, all scared of what was coming. There, I showed them what I'd found out, which teachers had to report, how to say the words that would make them call for help. We practiced quietly. They're making me get married. I'm only 13. Please help me. And at 15, my body turned against me. The change happened during breakfast prep. I started having my period, which began showing through my light dress. My mother's happy scream brought every woman in the house running. They were all smiling huge, hugged my face, told me I was blessed. By dinner, my father had already picked my husband, Gabriel, a factory owner who'd lost 2 wives before they hit 23. Heart problems, the paper said. The women said quietly it was from having too many babies too young. 2 days later, my cousin Emma, a girl from the garage, started bleeding too. Within hours, she was matched to a 53-year-old who had a collection of wives, who had 9 kids older than her. I saw the hope leave her face as they talked about her price like she was an animal. That night, I gave her my notes. Every secure house number, every legal fact, every way out I'd learned. Tomorrow, I told her quietly, tell the biology teacher, say the exact words I showed you. Her hands were shaking as she took it. What about you? My wedding's not for 2 weeks. I'll find a way, I said, my voice breaking. But I was wrong, because that night someone knocked on our door. It was child services. My father's face went from mixed up to angry as they asked about Emma, about child brides, about forced weddings. They needed to talk to all the girls in the family under 18. The second they left, the family closed in like hunters. In their minds, someone had been teaching the girls bad ideas. Someone had filled their pure heads with American lies. They tore the house apart, searching for the traitor. Well, my notebook was found hidden in the garage within an hour, and it had phone numbers and laws written everywhere. My father lit it on fire in front of everyone while calling me sick, ruined, and my favorite, a disease that needed to be removed. The wedding is tomorrow, he shouted, before she ruins anyone else. Morning came too soon. In an hour, they would come to put me in red and gold clothes, to give me to a man who'd already culled 2 girls. Full story on channel, link below. I could hear footsteps approaching my room at exactly 5 a.m. My hands shook as I frantically typed the child services number Emma had used into my phone. The aunts were already knocking on the door, their voices sweet but urgent. Through the thin wood, mother's voice cut through like ice. She hissed something about American laws while I deleted every text and screenshot on my phone, my fingers moving faster than ever. In the background, I heard father on his phone directing Gabriel about moving the ceremony location. The door handle rattled. I scrambled to the bathroom window, pushing it open as quietly as possible. My nightgown caught on the frame as I climbed through, tearing slightly. But as my bare feet touched the cold garden dirt, I froze. Aunt Sarah stood there in the pre-dawn darkness, arms crossed, having anticipated exactly where I'd go. Behind her, Uncle Marcus blocked the garden gate. The same uncle who used to sneak me extra bread when mother wasn't looking. His face looked pained but determined. He spoke softly about having daughters of his own, about how this needed to end with me. The words felt like a slap. I made a choice then. Instead of trying to fight past them physically, I filled my lungs and screamed as loud as I could about being forced to marry. The words echoed across the quiet neighborhood. I saw curtains switch in 3 different houses, but no one came out. No one ever came out. Father appeared with zip ties in his hand. He bound my wrists while mother made phone calls to the neighbors. Her voice syrupy sweet as she explained I was having a mental health episode. She thanked them for understanding our family's private medical matter. Each word made my stomach turn. They dragged me back inside, my bare feet scraping against the concrete. My phone buzzed with a CPS response just as Emma texted that they'd taken her back. On the stairs, my youngest cousin Miriam mouthed words at me. 2 simple words that broke my heart. I tried to comfort Miriam with my eyes, but father noticed. His face darkened as he realized the other girls were involved. He barked orders for all girls under 16 to be locked in the basement for purification. The timeline he mentioned made my blood run cold. The ceremony was in 3 hours. Not tonight as I thought. Gabriel arrived early, marriage documents already in his hands. The witnesses had already signed. Everything had been planned for this morning all along, regardless of yesterday's CPS visit. He looked at me like I was already his property. The house phone rang. Ms. Chen's voice asking why Emma wasn't at school. Mother lied smoothly about a family vacation while father yanked the phone cord from the wall, the plastic cracking as it broke. In the chaos, my eyes caught something on the family computer. My deleted screenshots were there, auto-uploaded to cloud storage. The timestamp showed 4:47 a.m. before anyone had even knocked on my door. Hope flickered for just a second. Mother followed my gaze. She immediately sat at the computer and started factory resetting it, telling Gabriel I'd been unstable lately, posting lies online. The progress bar moved too quickly, erasing evidence with each passing second. Gabriel's mother arrived with a dress bag, but immediately started arguing with mother about the ceremony location. She wanted it at their house for safety from interference. While they bickered, I studied her face. Recognition hit me like cold water. She was in old photos with Rachel's mother-in-law, sisters. The same wedding photographer's logo visible in both sets of pictures. Father moved through the house collecting cell phones from every family member, but I caught a glimpse of Miriam slipping an old iPod Touch into the basement air vent before he could find it. Smart girl. The aunts had split up to make phone calls. I could hear them warning my friends' parents about my mental breakdown and false accusations. Each call was another door closing, another escape route blocked. Gabriel pulled out papers from his briefcase, a betrothal contract with my signature, supposedly from when I was 11. My education fund listed as dowry, already transferred. The date on the papers was 1 week after Rachel's wedding. I'd never seen these documents before in my life. Desperation made me reckless. I announced I was pregnant, knowing it would cause chaos but also increase danger. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. Mother's hand connected with my face hard enough to draw blood, but then she paused, insisting on a pharmacy pregnancy test to prove the lie. A potential escape route opened up. At the pharmacy, I locked myself in the bathroom and used lipstick to write "help forced marriage" on the mirror. The janitor appeared within seconds, cleaning it off while avoiding eye contact. He knew. Everyone always knew. Gabriel had prepared for this too. His sister worked at the pharmacy and appeared to escort us through the back exit, avoiding every security camera. No witnesses, no evidence. Back at the house, Jade had arrived looking worried. Father met her at the door, his voice calm as he explained I was at a special treatment facility for my breakdown. I watched from the window window as she reluctantly left, confusion written on her face. During the dress fitting, I used a safety pin to scratch help into my arm, drawing blood that seeped through the white fabric. The seamstress saw it happen, but pretended she didn't, her hand steady as she continued pinning the hem. Mother noticed the blood immediately. Instead of treating the wound, she wrapped white ribbon tightly around my arm, commenting that accidents happen to clumsy girls. The ribbon cut off circulation, making my fingers tingle. While everyone prepared for the ceremony, I palmed sleeping pills from the bathroom cabinet. I crushed them into my water bottle when no one was looking. If I couldn't escape, I'd make myself too drugged to complete any ceremony. It was my last card to play. Gabriel's mother held up medical files from a locked box, spreading them across the kitchen table. The papers showed his previous wives' declining health records. Each woman had stopped eating properly within months of marriage. The death certificates bore the same doctor's signature. She tapped the papers while explaining how stubborn girls always learned their place eventually. Mother began listing ceremony details I'd never heard before. Specific prayers, the order of vows, which relatives would hold me still if needed. Her casual tone revealed they'd done this exact ritual many times. The practice efficiency made my skin crawl. While pretending to adjust my dress, I glanced at the family photo albums on the shelf. My hands trembled as I pulled one down. Baby photos of me had new captions underneath. Promised to Gabriel at birth. Future bride. The handwriting looked fresh, but the photos were definitely old. My 11-year-old signature on the betrothal contract matched my current handwriting too perfectly. Someone had been practicing. Miriam appeared at my elbow, offering to help with my hair. Her small fingers worked through the tangles while she whispered urgently. She'd sent messages from the iPod, but the sending icon just spun endlessly. She'd used every phrase I taught her. Her voice cracked with fear. Father set up a speaker system in the living room. A recording played. My own voice from last year enthusiastically discussing marriage and babies. I remembered that conversation when I was still maintaining my cover, still pretending to believe. Now they'd use my own words against me. The doorbell rang. 2 police officers stood outside asking about a runaway. Father produced paperwork immediately. Forms declaring me mentally unstable, requiring treatment after the ceremony. The officers glanced at the papers, nodded, and left. Every avenue had been anticipated. My stomach churned violently. I let myself vomit directly onto Gabriel's polished shoes. He stepped back calmly, wiping them with a handkerchief. His expression showed mild amusement as he mentioned morning sickness arriving early. His dead eyes never changed. I excused myself to clean up. In the bathroom, tucked behind the toilet, I found Emma's notebook. She documented everything. Dates, names, which girls had been married off over the years. The evidence was damning, but I had nowhere to hide it. Aunt Sarah cornered me as I emerged. She rolled up her sleeve, showing old scars. She'd tried running at my age too. They dragged her back within hours. The marriage proceeded anyway. She gripped my shoulders, insisting I stop fighting before things got worse. I slipped back to the basement door, trying the iPod Miriam had hidden. The Wi-Fi showed messages as sent, but when I checked the router settings, everything was being intercepted. Mother was monitoring all outgoing traffic. The messages never left our network. Car doors slammed outside. Extended family arrived in waves. Rachel climbed out of one car, moving slowly with a cane. At 17, she was pregnant with her 3rd child. Her husband helped her walk, his hand possessive on her back. She caught my eye for just a moment before looking away. Ms. Chen appeared at the front door with the principal. They asked about Emma's absence, about homeschooling paperwork. Father produced official documents dated yesterday. Every form perfectly filed, every signature authentic. The principal apologized for the intrusion. Ms. Chen's face showed defeat as they left. The ceremony preparations accelerated. Gabriel's brother arrived carrying a briefcase. He spread legal documents across the dining table. Power of attorney forms, medical custody papers. Once married, Gabriel could make every decision about my healthcare, including involuntary commitment. Gabriel leaned close, outlining the choice clearly. Cooperate with the ceremony and finish high school. Fight and go directly to a private psychiatric facility his family owned. The building was 3 states away. No one would find me there. I nodded slowly, appearing to accept. Then I drank deeply from my water bottle. The crushed sleeping pills had dissolved completely. The bitter taste made me gag, but I forced down every drop. Unconsciousness would stop the ceremony better than fighting. The substances hit faster than expected. My legs wobbled. Mother caught my arm, her grip iron tight. She smiled knowingly. They'd expected this too. She explained how marriages could proceed with incapacitated brides during medical emergencies. Another loophole, another trap. Through my drugged haze, I heard Gabriel discussing business with his brother. They needed traditional wives for their network of family companies, obedient women who understood their place. The family had been supplying them for years. Mother mentioned other cousins who'd reported over the years, 3 girls before Emma. Each time, CPS opened a file. Each time, the case closed without action. The stack of closed cases actually helped their cause, proving the allegations were always unfounded. A window shattered upstairs. Jade tumbled through my bedroom window, having climbed the trellis. She froze, seeing the scene below through the stairway railings. Her hand hovered over her phone. Call 911 or try to wake me. She had seconds to decide. She dialed emergency services, but the voice that answered was familiar. Father's cousin worked dispatch. He redirected units away from our address, claiming the situation was already resolved. Jade realized the depth of the conspiracy. She fled back through the window to find help another way. My drugged body jerked suddenly. My arm swept across the ceremony candles, knocking them over. Flames caught the tablecloth immediately. Family members scrambled for water. The smoke alarm shrieked. The ceremony ground to a halt. I crawled toward the kitchen while everyone fought the fire. The knife block gleamed on the counter. My fingers closed around a blade. If I couldn't escape marriage, maybe I could make myself too damaged to be wanted. Gabriel's mother watched my pathetic crawl with satisfaction. She made no move to stop me. Her expression said she'd seen this before, probably from Gabriel's previous wives. The knife sliced through my hair in ragged chunks. Long strands fell to the floor. Mother appeared with a wig already in hand. Of course, they'd prepared for even this. Rachel suddenly stood during the chaos. She announced she was calling 911 about the fire. Father's control slipped for the first time. He moved toward her, but she'd already dialed. Her voice was steady as she reported the emergency. Fire trucks arrived within minutes. Paramedics checked everyone for smoke inhalation. I managed to whisper for help when one leaned close. He wrote something on his clipboard but said nothing aloud. His partner was watching too carefully. The smoke damage meant relocating. Family members argued about where to hold the ceremony. During the confusion, I grabbed the paramedics' radio. My voice broadcast across emergency channels about a child marriage in progress. Gabriel's brother wrestled the radio away, but the damage was done. Hospital staff treated me like a psychiatric patient who'd set the fire. Gabriel's doctor friend arrived within minutes to take over my care. The same signature from the death certificates. He ordered immediate psychiatric hold. Strapped to the hospital bed, I finally understood. The system designed to protect me had become my prison. Every safety net had been turned into another trap. Legal loopholes twisted into chains. Gabriel leaned over my bed. His breath smelled like peppermint. He explained how his first wife had fought too. The second learned faster. I would learn fastest of all. His previous wives hadn't come from random families. They were all from communities like ours. Girls already trained to submit. Jade's social media posts spread quickly, but the narrative was already set. I was having a mental health crisis. Jade was enabling my delusions. Supportive comments disappeared as fast as they appeared. Our family had connections everywhere. Ms. Chen tried investigating on her own. Within hours, she received formal reprimand from the school board, overstepping boundaries with homeschooled students. Her job hung by a thread. Gabriel made sure I knew this was my fault. The paramedic who'd written on his clipboard returned, but his name tag revealed the truth. Another of Gabriel's cousins. The note had been alerting Gabriel that I was still fighting. He asked if I wanted to apologize for the false broadcast. To avoid forced medication, I had to appear calm. But appearing calm meant I couldn't report abuse without seeming manic. Another trap. Another impossible choice. The psychiatric hold was a perfect silencing mechanism. Emma's iPod recording surfaced on a recovery app. Corrupted files showed audio fragments. Gabriel's voice was clear in one piece, saying words that made my blood freeze. But the files were too damaged to use as evidence. The doctor announced I was stable enough for discharge. 2 hours until Gabriel became my medical advocate. The paperwork was already signed by a judge. Everything legal, everything proper, everything wrong. Gabriel's plan crystallized with horrible clarity. Marry me while drugged. Use the psychiatric hold to invalidate any testimony. Frame all accusations as delusions. It wasn't about tradition. It was about his need to break strong girls. The family just provided supply. I forced myself to appear broken broken, apologizing for the trouble, asking mother to fix my makeup for the ceremony. Each word tasted like poison, but it was the only way to gain any freedom of movement. Alone in the bathroom for 2 minutes, I found a hidden phone taped under the sink. My fingers flew across the screen, texting Jade one last time. The message was simple, but urgent. Everything depended on Emma's biology notebook surviving. The ceremony proceeded in Gabriel's living room. I stood robotically still, repeating vows in a flat voice. The marriage certificate was already predated to yesterday. Another lie made official. Gabriel's mother announced our departure for their countryside home. Hours from anywhere. No neighbors to hear screams. The honeymoon would begin immediately. Police cars wailed outside. My heart leaped, then sank. They weren't here for me. Jade was being arrested for harassment and false reports. I watched from the window as they cut her. She made eye contact as they pushed her into the patrol car. Something in her expression gave me hope. In the car, my phone buzzed with a text. Rachel had sent 2 words that changed everything. She was getting her kids out. I needed to stall. Father called Gabriel, furious. Several young cousins were missing from the basement. Miriam was gone. The little ones had escaped while everyone focused on me. Gabriel's jaw tightened as he listened. I doubled over, claiming severe menstrual cramps. The pain required specific medication only available at hospitals. I made the symptoms graphic enough that Gabriel's disgust overrode his suspicion. He diverted to a different hospital, one where he had no connections. The first crack in his perfect control. I memorized the route, noting every turn. In the ER bathroom, I found a note taped under the sink. My fingers trembled as I unfolded it. The handwriting was Jade's. She'd gotten word to someone before her arrest. CPS investigator Martinez believed me. I needed to stall until 3 p.m. The clock showed 2:17. The realization hit me hard. By teaching Miriam and the others those escape routes, I'd enabled years of this to continue. My stomach twisted with more than just fake cramps. I spotted surgical scissors on a crash cart through the bathroom door. While the nurse turned away, I slipped them into my wedding dress. Protection or evidence, I wasn't sure which I'd need them for. But then clarity struck. Using them meant Gabriel won. Either I'd be labeled violent and psychotic, or I'd end up like his previous wives. Neither option helped anyone. Instead, I made a calculated choice. The scissors cut into my inner thigh where the wound wouldn't show. Blood seeped through the white dress fabric during the examination. The nurse's eyes widened when she saw it, but the doctor kept talking to Gabriel as if nothing had happened. I mouthed silent words to the nurse while the doctor discussed my hysteria with Gabriel. She said nothing, but her hand knocked my chart to the floor. As she bent to retrieve it, I glimpsed another form underneath, a RP kit documentation sheet. She began filling it out while Gabriel argued with the doctor about unnecessary procedures. Gabriel realized what was happening. He insisted we needed to leave for a family emergency, but hospital protocol required completing any open documentation. He couldn't refuse without looking suspicious. His jaw clenched as the nurse continued her work. Evidence collection proceeded methodically. Each sample taken meant potential DNA matches to whatever had happened to Gabriel's previous wives. I watched his face grow paler with each sealed container. His phone erupted with text alerts, multiple messages in rapid succession. His hands shook slightly as he read them. The younger cousins had reached the police station. They'd brought Emma's notebook. Their testimonies were being recorded. The hospital suddenly went into lockdown. Security guards appeared at every exit. Through the examination room window, I saw police cars surrounding the building. Federal marshals emerged from black SUVs. My attempted interstate transportation had triggered federal jurisdiction. CPS investigator Martinez entered with the police backup. I recognized her face from old family photos. She'd been at community events years ago, watching, documenting. This investigation had been building longer than I'd realized. Gabriel's lawyer brother burst through the hospital doors, immediately claiming I was delusional and the marriage was legal. He waved documents while shouting about religious freedom and parental rights. I maintained my broken facade, letting him paint himself as the reasonable one. Father and mother arrived with their own legal counsel. They threatened to destroy everyone involved if the investigation continued. Mother's voice carried that same sweet poison as she explained how I'd always been troubled, prone to fantasies. The ER doors opened again. Emma stumbled in with psychiatric hold paperwork of her own. Gabriel's family had tried the same playbook with her. Her pregnancy showed clearly now. The parallel evidence mounted. A lab technician rushed in with printed results. The DNA rush test had returned matches. Gabriel's genetic material linked to suspicious deaths. The room's atmosphere shifted instantly. Lawyers stopped mid-argument. Everyone recalculated their positions. Martinez pulled out a tablet showing security footage. The grainy video displayed our garage meetings where I'd taught the younger girls about their rights, but the crucial detail appeared in the corner. Mother watching from the doorway the entire time. She'd known everything. The truth emerged through Mother's changing expression. She'd let it happen to identify which girls would break, which would fight. Her own sister had died at 19 in an arranged marriage. She'd been selecting victims for decades, pretending ignorance while orchestrating everything. Investigation files spread across the hospital conference table. 17 girls married off over 20 years. 3 confirmed dead. 7 missing, likely dead. All technically legal through carefully exploited loopholes. The scope overwhelmed me. The prosecutor presented me with an impossible choice: testify and destroy any chance my cousins had at normal lives, or stay silent and let Gabriel walk on technicalities. The weight of 13 saved girls pressed against the cost of exposure. I chose to testify. Using every legal phrase I'd taught my cousins, I laid out the systematic abuse. The gallery filled with hidden victims watching through video links. Each word felt like betrayal and salvation combined. Gabriel's arrest proceeded with cameras documenting everything, but his family's lawyers secured bail within hours. Mother faced conspiracy charges. Father had already fled. His car found abandoned at the state border. The community split into factions, those who supported us and those who saw us as traitors to tradition. Child services arrived with removal orders. Every minor in our extended family would be placed in protective custody. I watched my support network scatter across different foster homes. Miriam clung to a social worker's hand as they led her away. Ms. Chen met me in the hospital lobby. She'd been cleared of the false reprimand and offered to let me stay with her temporarily. Her small apartment became my first taste of freedom. No ceremonies, no training, just quiet mornings and homework at a normal kitchen table. Legal proceedings consumed the following weeks: depositions, evidence reviews, custody hearings. Gabriel's legal team filed motion after motion. Each court appearance meant facing family members who alternated between pleading and threatening. The annulment papers arrived with Gabriel's signature already in place. His lawyer's note suggested this was strategic. Maintaining the marriage would complicate his defense, but something in the rushed signature hinted at planning. He wasn't done. A package appeared at Ms. Chen's door with no return address. Inside were photographs of Gabriel's first 2 wives at my current age. Young faces staring at the camera with the same hollow expression I'd worn. A note tucked between them read simply that I was the only one who lived to tell their story. Emma gave birth in a foster care facility. The baby's father was never identified. She refused DNA testing that might link back to her assigned husband. She attended online classes while learning to change diapers, determined to break the cycle. Rachel cooperated with investigators from her hospital bed. Complications from her 3rd pregnancy had nearly culled her. She provided detailed testimony about the network of families involved, the businesses that profited, the doctors who covered up deaths. The trial date approached with agonizing slowness. Gabriel's family hired experts to testify about cultural traditions and religious freedom. Our prosecutor countered with child development specialists and domestic violence experts. The legal arguments grew dense and technical. More packages arrived. Other survivors from different states sent evidence, photos, medical records. The network was broader than even our investigation had revealed. But prosecuting beyond our immediate family would require resources nobody had. Foster families reported that the younger cousins were adjusting differently. Some thrived in normal schools. Others struggled with basic social interactions after years of isolation. Miriam sent me drawings of houses with too many locks on the doors. The prosecutor warned me about the trial's reality. Gabriel's lawyers would destroy my character. Every moment of my performed compliance would be used against me. The recording of me saying I wanted babies would play repeatedly. I had to prepare for public humiliation. My testimony date arrived too quickly. The courtroom filled with reporters, community members, and survivors. I spoke for hours, detailing every aspect of the grooming, the training, the systematic abuse. Gabriel watched with those same dead eyes, occasionally whispering to his lawyers. The jury deliberated for 3 days. When they returned, Gabriel was convicted on multiple counts, but not murder. Insufficient evidence for the the deaths. 15 years with possibility of parole in 7. Mother got 5 years. Other family members received various sentences or fled before trial. Community fractures deepened. Some families quietly stopped the practice. Others went underground, moving to states with weaker oversight.